Alright, this video is going to be a part 2 to the direct draw or tracing video. So what I have here is the resource material on my print, and I went ahead and I finished with the black ink. Okay, here's the resulting print using the direct draw or tracing technique. What I wanted to show you, because a lot of students at this point, you don't have to do this in black ink. You can do it in any color ink you want, but the question always comes up, can I add another color? And the answer to that is yes. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's pretty straightforward and simple, but I'll show you the steps, and then you can see how viable it is for your situation. So the first thing I want to do is I want to keep my plate and print paper, I want to keep them attached. Okay, I don't want to lose my registration, and so I'll keep those attached. So what I'll do to kind of help prevent any, when I clean this, I don't want to get any of the cleaning stuff on my print. So I can take a piece of paper, and I can just use the paper from the phone book, and I'm basically going to cover or shield my print. I just use a little tape so it doesn't go anywhere. I just tape it to the plate, and then now that kind of guards against it. Let's get this ink out of the way. Alright, the next step. So I try to go non-toxic, low toxic. So instead of using solvents, what I want to show you is you can clean up this oil-based ink using vegetable oil or mineral oil. So I just used mineral oil. This is kind of embarrassing. I just used the oil from my turkey fryer, and I put it in this bottle. I just put a little bit down. That's maybe a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half. And if you're concerned, you could wear gloves for this. I'm going to go ahead and do that to kind of promote that idea of non-toxic or low tox. So I'll just don my glove, and then you'll inadvertently always get the other hand dirty, so go ahead and put 2 gloves on. And again, this will help with your cleanup of yourself. I highly recommend that you wear gloves, especially I work at the college here in Las Vegas, so a lot of my students work with the general public, and so like if they're a server or cocktail waitress or in the medical field, you want clean hands to be presentable. So the gloves will prevent your your hands looking like totally dirty all the time. Okay, so I have my oil on, and I just get my paper towel, and I'm going to use that to wipe up this ink. Okay. So I move the oil around over the inked surface, and the ink will pretty much, per se, hydrate it, break it down, and then make it easier. So the first kind of, as I'm wiping, there is a lot of a resistance, but as the oil moves around more over the ink surface, it starts to loosen it up and release it from the acrylic sheet surface. Okay, and you can see that it's coming up pretty easily now. So then I hold the plate, and then I just start using kind of a circular polishing, like wiping up a spill, flipping over my paper towel to remove the ink. Doesn't take that long. Okay, so that towel is pretty dirty, so I'm going to go to a new towel. And with this one, I wipe up all the residue. So I just go around the plate, and I get all the residue that's left over. I set this aside. I will use this again. Then I get a new clean paper towel, And then instead of spraying the plate with the glass cleaner, I spray it into my towel, and it keeps it from dispersing glass cleaner everywhere. This is especially important if there's another student next to you. Then I take that glass cleaner on the towel and I finish cleaning the glass. This will do two things. First, it will degrease while at the same time get the rest of the residue off the plate, making it squeaky clean. And what it will also do is it will help allow the next layer of ink that you're going to put down to adhere to the plate. So that's important. Sometimes you'll get areas where when you pull your masking tape, it will attract the ink because of the leftover glue in the masking tape. Those will take just a little bit more elbow grease to get rid of, but really not a big deal. Okay, so the plate is clean. Okay, so I can get that out of the way for now. Now I want to do my ink prep. So what I've done is I want to make my lollipop elements, the candy part, red. So I got out the red ink. Remember, when you get the ink out, you want to skim it, and so that this inside the can remains flat. Okay, don't dig in and make a big hole. Otherwise, all the ink around that hole will dry down to the bottom of the hole on the sides, and then that just wastes all the ink. So by skimming it off the top, kind of like butter, this will prevent the ink from drying out so much quicker. All right, I put that out on the glass, and then I just start drawing it across the glass to wake it up. And as I do this, it starts to become softer, malleable, and which will then be more conducive to then applying it to my plate. Voila. All right, I bring my plate back over. I'm going to take my guard off. And what I want to do is I want to help retain my white border, so I'm going to retape that, okay? And I can do that. I don't need my gloves anymore. And so you can see the lollipops in the background come up to the border. And I'm just going to really try and keep this one from getting red on it, so I won't tape off the entire border. Just top off the tape here. Now I have marks on my plate to show me where to put my tape down, but essentially the tape, you know, with the width of it, is creating this outside clean border, well, relatively clean border. All right, so now I've done that, okay? So what I do is, I now have this set up for ink. So what I want to do is now I will ink up the plate again, but instead of using black ink, I'm just going to use red. Now I don't want the red elements to be, per se, super dark like the black. So I'm going to use a smaller roller and less passes, and I won't be really concerned with it being beautiful and opaque like in part 1. All right, let me get this out of the way. Okay, I take a smaller brayer, roll into the ink about 2 or 3 times, and then I start rolling forward. By rolling forward, it inks up the entire roller. You can also swap it. Now this one has little legs, so when it sits on its legs, the roller is above the glass, but when you turn it this way, the roller would actually touch the glass. Okay, that's it. Now I come to the plate and I just lay in the red. And as I roll more, and I wanted to show you this, the brayer becomes exhausted, so I would have to recharge it. So the first roll over here is relatively dark, but with each successive roll, the ink becomes less and less. So I'll come back here and recharge. Go to the other side, return. Do it one more time. All right, that's all. Okay. Now down here, it's gone past. I probably should have taped it off, and that would have prevented that overshot. So I'll just take my paper towel and subtract that out. Just wipe it. Not a big deal. Okay, now I'm going to bring my print down, and then I'm only going to focus on my lollipop elements. Let's bring the camera a little closer so we can see that happen. So I'm going to use just the brush handle, paintbrush handle, and then start going at it. I'm going to use pretty light pressure. I'm just focusing on the round elements for the lollipops. And as I kind of make marks, I can go in different directions. I'm really light pressure. If I press anywhere else that I don't want the red, it will still print. So make sure that you're only focusing on the elements that you're interested in having red. And I'll pull this up here in a second. And what's great about having the print attached to the paper is you can always peek at it and not worry about it, laying down in the wrong manner. Okay, so I've done the lollipops. And there it is. So now the lollipops per se pop, not to make a pun. And there's my background, sort of a repeating pattern. And then by adding the color element, you have these accents, and then it makes them a little bit more apparent as to what they are. Okay, so that's adding color to a direct draw or tracing monotype technique with a second layer of ink to finish the plate, or the print, excuse me. All right. And then at this juncture, I would just take the print and remove it from the plate. Let me lay it down. So I pull the tape that's my hinge. And now I have the physical print. I would sign it and then put it in the drying rack. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope that by seeing how to add a second layer of information with a different color makes sense. Take care.